Do you have a paranormal encounter you'd like to share with us? Send us an email with your story for a chance of it being featured on Weird World. In the following collection of stories, we delve into four more chilling true tales bound by a common object of terror, that is, the Ouija board, this time from the decade of the 2000s. Each story uncovers ordinary lives disrupted by the supernatural, leading to desperate attempts to restore peace, where innocent curiosity turned to nightmare. $2 Terror. During the summer, Abby and her mum Rose cherished their Saturday yard sale shopping adventures. In the summer of 2008, during a balmy August morning, they stumbled upon an intriguing yard sale which, although not initially in their itinerary for the day, piqued their interest. As Rose was busy sifting through a crate filled with pre-loved DVDs, Abby was drawn to a table stacked with games and puzzles and was particularly taken by a glow-in-the-dark Ouija board. With an undeniable pull, Abby quickly grabbed it and showed it to her mother, pleading for the $2 bargain in preparation for the sleepover that night with her two best friends, Denise and Emma. Initially hesitant due to her discomfort around the supernatural, Rose eventually agreed. The pair's shopping haul for the day included a couple of movies, a pair of designer jeans, and a perfectly intact Ouija board. Back home in the sanctuary of her bedroom, Abby tested the board but eventually stashed it under her bed as it seemed to be unresponsive. She then shifted her focus on preparing for her friend's arrival. The girls spent their evening munching on pizza and cake pops, exchanging stories about their peers, and enjoying one of the DVDs Rose had bought. As they got ready for bed in Abby's room, Emma was the first to spot something unfamiliar under the bed. She pulled out the Ouija board, prompting Abby to recount the yard sale story and how it didn't seem to work when she tried it alone. Denise suggested it needed more than one person to work, and they decided to give it a shot. Wanting an authentic Ouija board experience, they dimmed the lights, lit candles, and gathered around the board on the floor. They initiated the session by asking if any spirits were present, to which the board replied yes. Their next question, "Who are you?" elicited a chilling reply, "Hell." This made the girls withdraw their hands in fear. Though Abby wanted to quit, Denise insisted they just needed to command the spirit to leave, which they did, but got a no in response. Emma retreated to a corner weeping, while Abby decided to take a religious approach, commanding in a trembling voice, "In the name of Christ, leave." A shrill cry from Emma sent shivers down their spines. Huddled in the corner, she cradled her left arm, which had mysterious scratch marks. As Abby was about to comfort Emma, a small green plastic soldier, left behind by her little brother, hit her in the face. She was sure Denise didn't throw it, as she was still holding onto the planchette. A moment later, Abby's mother Rose stormed into the room, flinging the door open. Strangely, the candles instantly extinguished. Turning on the light, Rose asked about the commotion, having heard Emma's scream. The frightened girls detailed their horrifying ordeal and pleaded to sleep in the living room for the night, to which Rose readily agreed. After getting the girls comfortable and tending to Emma's scratches, Rose cleaned up the room and discarded the Ouija board. No more paranormal incidents occurred following that night, but Rose and Abby made a pact to steer clear of any yard sale objects linked to the supernatural. No deal was worth that kind of scare. A ghostly grip. In September 2005, Cynthia hesitantly accepted her friend Tanya's invitation for a double-blind date. After a dinner hosted by their dates at their apartment, the gentleman proposed a session with their Ouija board. Tanya was game, but Cynthia, still very down 9 months after her father's passing, felt a sense of unease about making contact with the spirit world that night. Despite Cynthia's reservations, the others proceeded while she merely observed. As the room dimmed and the other three commenced, Cynthia felt a sudden vacuum, as if all the air was being drawn from the room. When one of the men posed a question to the board regarding whom it wished to communicate with, it spelt Cynthia's unusual childhood moniker. This revelation startled Cynthia, as she was the only person aware of this nickname. She expressed her desire to leave immediately, but the session continued as the three then asked the board to identify the spirit present. It responded with Cynthia's father's name. This pushed Cynthia to her emotional limits, leading her to accuse the board of lying, after which all the candles in the room abruptly extinguished. Tanya was next to be unnerved, as she found herself unable to detach her hands from the planchette, a predicament then shared by the two men. Concurrently, Cynthia felt an unseen force choking her, causing her to collapse on the floor, writhing in pain and pleading for her father's aid. Amid the chaos in the apartment, Cynthia's friend Rick, who was scheduled to fetch the girls at 8 p.m, arrived and heard the screams from within. Upon his entrance, he felt a palpable surge of motion move past him, as though something was exiting the scene, after which normalcy resumed. Rick helped Cynthia up from the floor and escorted her to his car before returning for Tanya. Following the unsettling incident, the guys attempted to reach out to Cynthia and Tanya to offer their apologies and discuss the strange happenings. However, the girls had no interest in any further contact with them or in recalling the distressing memories of that night. The red-eyed shadow. In Jenny's early years, at the start of the millennium, her father had developed an unhealthy obsession with the Ouija board. As his intense preoccupation continued to escalate, her worried mother decided to conceal the board in a closet. By then, however, Jenny's father had honed his fascination to such an extent that he could replicate the board by merely writing the alphabet on a piece of paper. His eyes would then be guided to spell out the words, and soon his improvised board revealed the hiding place of the actual one. As Jenny turned 4, her father inadvertently summoned a malicious entity that lingered in their house, causing unsettling disturbances. It was only when this spirit, or perhaps another, appeared to Jenny in a nightmare that her father was finally convinced to abandon his Ouija board pursuits. In her dream, Jenny envisioned a 1-foot-tall shadowy figure with menacing red eyes perched on her lamp, glaring at her. Upon awakening from this nightmare, to her absolute horror, Jenny discovered this same figure in her room, its glowing red eyes fixed on her from the lamp. Terrified, she leapt out of bed and darted into the kitchen, the sinister figure tailing her and attempting to obstruct her way. Overcome with fear, Jenny somehow sidestepped the entity and rushed into her parents' bedroom. Curiously, the figure did not follow her into the room. Jenny speculated that its reluctance could be due to her father's presence, whom the shadow figure might have respected in some way. After that frightful night, Jenny never had any further encounters with the red-eyed spectre. To this day, she struggles to recall any other dreams. Malevolent murmurs. In 2009, Patricia Williams experienced a series of unnerving events following a Ouija board session, which, as she stated, yielded results. Bizarre phenomena began to manifest in her house, swiftly leading her to vow never to engage with a Ouija board ever again. Floorboards creaked in the absence of anyone treading on them, doors would automatically shut, and a distinct sense of being watched loomed over her. To add to her disquiet, the Ouija board would mysteriously vanish for several days, only to resurface in the most unexpected of places. Over time, the disturbing incidents escalated. An unseen entity seemed to whisper her name, jostle her bed, and tug off her blankets. On some occasions, she spotted a dark form huddled in the corner of her room. Other times, it would be the silhouette of a man standing ominously in the doorway. However, the situation soon reached a critical point when this spectral presence started physically assaulting her by yanking her hair, inflicting scratches, and even strangling her while murmuring Latin phrases into her ear. In the wake of these terrifying experiences, she had her house blessed, after which time she reported the cessation of any further strange happenings. A lesson in Latin. In December 2006, Riley found himself amidst a group of college friends huddled around a Ouija board one chilly winter evening. It was an exercise mainly undertaken out of boredom, but also a touch of intrigue. Riley maintained a safe distance, his scepticism outweighing his curiosity, and he seemed more keen on enjoying a drink than attempting to communicate with the departed. However, before long, the group seemed to have made contact with an entity, as the board began spelling out phrases in Latin. Ironically, Riley was the only one in the group who had any knowledge of Latin. He leaned over the table to decipher the Latin words, placing his hand on the edge of the table while ensuring it was well away from the planchette. To his surprise, when he drew his hand back, he noticed a fresh scratch on his wrist. A few days on from the incident, Riley's girlfriend, who had also attended the Ouija session, woke up to find inexplicable bruises on her legs. Both decided that this first encounter with the Ouija board would also be their last.